Alright, so Juice Wrld just had an album released posthumously. That means after he passed. And many of its fans absolutely hate it. Its reviews are also overwhelmingly awful. Why? Well, let me explain. But first of all, for those of you that don't know, Juice Wrld was a very popular artist that tragically passed away a few years back. We're not going to get into how he passed away. That's not this video. We're going to get into what happened after. See, what happens when an artist passes away is record labels usually continue to release their music. Why? Well, because those record labels own that artist's music. Even the music that artist chooses not to release for one reason or another. Record labels are basically a giant scam. But regardless, what musicians usually do is they record a bunch of songs and they pick out which ones that they really like, and then they release an album. Now, those bunch of songs that they recorded, the throwaways, are just kind of sitting there. If y'all remember, Kendrick Lamar released an album called To Pimp a Butterfly. It was so good that many people, namely LeBron James, said, yo, where are the throwaways? Because people figured those probably hit too. And because LeBron asked, Kendrick Lamar said, screw it. He released the throwaways in like another album. So as you can imagine, even when a musician passes, they still have a bunch of songs recorded. Again, those songs are owned by the record label. So they say, hey, hold on, we just want to release these songs as another album. The fans are going to buy it anyway because they missed the artist. And this has happened to almost every musician who has passed away. But now listen to this next part closely. Some musicians record more songs than other musicians. XXXTentacion, Notorious B.I.G., John Lennon, they all had albums reach the Billboard Top 200 when they passed away. Tupac had 7 albums reach the Billboard Top 100 when he passed. So that goes to show you how many songs he recorded. This is a record label's goldmine, an artist who records a bunch of songs and who's beloved by fans. Michael Jackson, Prince, there's another 2 for you. In fact, Sony paid Michael Jackson's estate $250 million so they can release some of his posthumous albums. Prince, $150 million. His estate was battling back and forth, 6-year legal settlement, all to get the rights to release some of his music that maybe he didn't want to release. Juice Wrld is one of these artists, an artist beloved by fans and an artist who recorded a lot of music. And I mean a lot. Why? Because Juice Wrld freestyled on most of his songs. I'm sure many of you have seen Juice Wrld freestyling for hours upon hours straight on radio shows. It's just something that's ingrained in him. He can open his mouth and he can make an album. Record labels said, oh boy, he passed away. They still said, oh boy, because again, they have full control over his past catalog. He can't argue with them saying, no, I don't want to release this song, that song. They can release whatever they want. Because when an artist usually gets to around Juice Wrld's height, when they start understanding the music industry a lot better, they start realizing themselves, wait, what is a record label really doing for me? They start getting into little battles with their record label, especially when it comes to album release time. Because what usually happens is a record label will walk in after you finish your album, your hard-earned work, you're like, the fans are going to absolutely love this. Record labels be like, okay, take that song out, take that song out, take this song out, put this one in. That's how they think they're gonna make money. They think they know your fans a lot better than you do because they're looking at data. So usually artists argue with them like, no, I'm going to put this song in. They're fighting for their lives, for their albums at all times. It's always a huge back and forth between labels and artists. And sure, record labels have full control, so even if their artist doesn't want a certain song out, they could just put it out anyway, but they don't want to get on the bad side of their artist. They want to compromise so the artist doesn't hate them. So when the artist passes away, again, that record label is going, ooh, I got no one to argue with me anymore. I'm just putting this out. What a label then usually does is they either go to a producer that artist has worked with a lot in the past. What a producer does is they basically put the whole song together. They do more than just make beats. And they say, hey, can you take this artist's vision? You know how they like to make music, put it together, make us an album. Or they usually go to a big name producer because they just assume it's a big name producer. They probably know what they're doing. I don't know, work on this album. And the big name producer will usually say yes because they know that album's about to skyrocket because of that artist's fan base. And they tell them, look, we have these recorded voice samples of Juice Wrld on this beat. make it into an actual song. It doesn't have to be finished, put a feature on it. And big name features are always willing to hop on posthumous albums because they know those albums are about to go up. Remember, big fan bases. Boom, they released Juice WRLD's first posthumous album. It does well. People miss him, they love the songs. They release a second posthumous album. Still does well. People miss him. They love the songs. But here's the thing, as they keep going through his catalog, they're gonna get less and less songs that are complete and songs that they can work with. And the reason for this is, listen to this next part closely. The more an artist likes a song, usually, in general, the higher the chances that they're going to complete the song. So most of the time, the better songs are already finished. If an artist doesn't really like a song, doesn't really feel the song, they might stop like halfway. And a lot of times when the artist doesn't really like the song, the fan probably won't like the song, right? On top of that, in a lot of posthumous albums, there's poor quality songs because an artist is just kind of playing around. They're not focused like recording in a soundproof room. They're just trying things out. They might record an official version some other time in a full-on soundproof room. But if they pass without recording that official version, then the label will just take whatever they recorded, tell the producer, hey man, make this sound better, and just release it. That's why you might hear a lot of poor quality songs in posthumous albums. So they announced this third album, The Party Never Ends. People go, bro, it's been a few years. Now people are onto the scheme. His fans enjoyed the first two albums. It felt like a nice closing moment, but a third album? What else is there to say? The label comes out and says, don't worry, we gonna do your boy right. They start making a bunch of promises to the fans because they know if the fans aren't with them, this can turn ugly real fast. Oh, and let me call out his label real quick. It's Interscope Records. If you think this whole thing sucks, then you can blame Interscope. So anyway, Interscope goes to the fans. Y'all excited? They go, Interscope says, stop. Y'all excited? Fans go, Interscope goes, all right, we're just gonna release it anyway. They release it. And from what I've seen, generally, it's okay. And that's the problem, because they announced that this is Juice WRLD's last album. So the fans are saying, yo, you gave us those first two albums. That was a nice end to the legacy. This third one, if y'all are saying this is the final one, this better encapsulate everything Juice WRLD and really give that last album feel. The record label grabbed a bunch of songs, smash them together, release an album. Cause one thing for sure, two things for certain, the record label just does not care. They would have released a recording of Juice WRLD straight up just barking, as long as they get their millions, which they will get. They're not trying to have this go #1 or anything. They just want those fans to spend some dollars, milk what they can, whatever. And remember, they own his music for life. So I would not be surprised if they release another album saying, okay, this is the final album. Because what do they have to lose? They're gonna make money regardless. And that's the saddest part about posthumous albums. These artists might not want these songs released, but for obvious reasons they have no say, especially artists like Prince and Michael Jackson, who were deeply connected with their music. And they fought hard to own most of their music. That's why a lot of Michael Jackson, Prince fans constantly get upset at both of their estates, because posthumous albums seem to go directly against the wishes of Michael Jackson and Prince. But that being said, back to Juice WRLD, no one quite knows what his wishes are. So the label just took advantage of that, saying, we're gonna release these in his memory. It's what he would have wanted, maybe. And then, well, they grabbed some producer, compile some songs, throw it out. All that being said, to me, man, the whole thing feels kind of scummy, doesn't it? Like, it's one thing for record labels to exploit artists while they're alive, but when they pass and they can't really fight back, that's not it.